I featured these straw bales and these tomatoes that are growing in them over a number of videos. I started with the actual process of conditioning the bales last winter and showed that process and how to do it. And we planted in them and we've shown the progress of the tomatoes as they've grown across the year. I thought it would be good to come back now at the end of the season when these tomatoes are almost finished and show you what is happening to the bales. Now, as I said, these tomatoes have almost finished. However, they're still going. There's still tomatoes here that are quite nice to eat, and we're still picking and eating them. There's even still some flowers coming, so they haven't given up yet at all. So there was also cucumbers in here. They, of course, long finished now, but the tomatoes are still going. And so they might still be going for another month or two even yet before I'm ready to pull them out. As long as they give me some fruit, I'll leave them in there. But let's have a look at the bales and see what's happening down here. On the outside here, you can still see the actual structure of the bale. Where it has stayed dry around the edge of the bale, this has really had very little decay. And it's still, you still see the string there holding it together. But this is really only in some places. If we go inside the bale, you really see a different story. Looking down here into the middle of the bale, you'll see where the water has come from the irrigation and sprayed, that the bale has pretty much completely disappeared. It is totally composted. So what is in here now? Let's have a look at this. This is what is left of the bale. It has turned into this beautiful, super fine compost. And that's what's been really feeding these tomatoes and keeping them going absolutely supercharged. And that stuff is now, it's quite deep. Really, they're starting to see a little bit of the soil underneath. But it's quite deep, thick, and beautiful compost. Nice and moist, even though I haven't been watering these a lot now. As the temperatures have fallen, I haven't watered it as much. But really great compost. Now, I think that because it's in a hotter environment here in the greenhouse, the decay of these bales has been a lot faster than if it had been outside in a cooler area. So if you're growing in straw bale outside, you probably have a different experience. But in the hotter environment, it'd be much the same in the tropics. You'll get this type of breakdown. Really getting only one season out of it, but as I say, it's been 8 months that the tomatoes are growing, so it is quite a long season and a very productive one. What's also interesting to see here is what's happened to the tomatoes' roots. As the straw has disappeared from around the tomato, you see the root structure is sitting here pretty much in the air, but at the base there are the fine roots going down into the ground and still feeding the plant, and it's still living quite well despite the fact that it looks like it's completely exposed in this way. You think it would have died, but it hasn't. It's still got roots going down there and feeding. So early on in the stages, the bale was up higher here. The tomato shot its roots down through the bale into the ground below, and has also been getting nutrients out of the soil and moisture. So yeah, it still looks a little bit odd, but everything's still going fine. There was really only about 3 main tomato plants in here, one fourth smaller one growing, but 3 main ones that have grown in here, and they have really done well. So this is just an idea of what happens to straw bales. I know I get quite a few questions about how long do they last, and for me, in this environment, it is 1 season. As I said before, if you had them outside and you're growing in a different temperature where the decay is slower, you'd probably get a longer period. But the fact that it is actually composting at this rate means that you're getting nutrients at an accelerated rate. Because if the bale isn't composting, then it's not actually giving its nutrients to you. So to me, this is really good and great production because of the amount of produce that I've received from it.